Hello, folks. Welcome to Boatrek Live. I'm joined today by Marcelo, and we're going to be discussing Star Trek Picard Season 3, Episode 6, The Bounty. Chock full of nostalgia, whole truck full of member berries, but I don't mind. It works. Thank you for being here, Marcelo. It's good to
No,
have
thank
you.
you for having me. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's get started. Now, of course, this discussion will include spoilers. Just a brief synopsis. I won't get into every detail. Vatic is still looking for Picard, still trying to get Jack Crusher. Uh, it seems that in her speech at the beginning, she may be a changeling. We've kind of got the hint of that when she cut off her hand. But the whole point of this episode is for Worf, Riker, and Raffi to break into Daystrom Institute to find out what other thing was stolen. Because, of course, we know the portal weapon was a big distraction. What was the real thing that was stolen? We find out. We'll get to that. But they encounter Moriarty, who is the kind of gatekeeper, the AI that is protecting Daystrom. And for whatever reason, Data's consciousness, or Lol, Data, B4, Lore, Soong, all combined into one, is somehow trying to get Riker's attention, I guess. To be honest, I only watched it the one time, so it's like, and then I went back and took a couple of screenshots. I don't quite understand what was going on with Moriarty. I know he was there as the AI, but like the whistling was in his head, and like, was that Data trying to like override him? I wonder.
No, I think that was a part of Data's program that was in the golem that Sung was designing to sort of get the attention of Riker, Raffi, and Worf, to let them know that something that they could trust is back there, or elements of something that they could trust is back there.
Okay, good. Like, I'm glad they got to. I'm not sure what to call Data lore before lol soon. It's like Data but not. So I'll just
I
for
got
this
one.
just for
I
the
got
sake
one.
of argument. What? Go ahead.
Data Plus. Sorry.
Data
Stupid.
plus. Perfect.
Stupid.
So Data. Let's call him for now, because he's
Okay.
gonna become lore. I think lore is gonna be the dominant personality.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but for right now, it's Data plus. A lot of Easter eggs, some Easter eggs in this trip to Daystrom Station, and I just want to share one that kind of like got my attention. This is apparently Kirk. Is it? Is this Kirk's
Is that
cadaver?
no?
What
I
what's
have
going on there?
I well when
Did
they
you catch
when
this?
no, seriously, when they lingered on this, they played a specific note in the score, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And I only have seen it once, like yourself, and I couldn't figure out why they were lingering on this.
Like, why in Daystrom Station is there a panel that says James T. Kirk, and like presumably it's too blurry for me to zoom into the details of that paragraph, but it's basically his just a description of him as an officer, I guess. Is
So
but the whole thing about the bones and the body, are they did they, when he died, did they go and take his cadaver that Picard buried under those rocks on the mountain? Like, what's going on? I
no,
don't
but the
know.
thing
They're
is,
probably going to address that.
no, but I wonder, like, are they saying that his body is somewhere in Daystrom, or
That's
I'm wondering before we get to it, I'm wondering if they took his DNA for something,
yeah.
right?
It's this
Like,
is what I'm saying.
what?
Okay, we'll jump right to the reveal at the end about Picard. We find out that the other thing that was stolen from Daystrom was actually Picard's cadaver.
Jesus.
So that's why I'm wondering, do they also have James T. Kirk's body there? And because they're showing it in this episode, does that mean anything? Uh,
Uh, I
it's odd. It got me. It was almost so distracting that I was like, what's Kirk doing there? But anyway,
yeah,
uh, but
I
the big
don't.
reveal was that they stole Picard's body. For what reason? And how does that connect to Jack? And is Jack Jack? And I hope he is, because that would suck that they've had all of these heart to hearts throughout these episodes, and it turned out to be like some kind of facsimile, like
Oh,
who's the Nemesis guy?
oh,
Tom Hardy.
Shinzon.
Shinzon.
Sirron. What the hell am I saying? It's one of those rings. This guy.
This is I would not have guessed this at all.
No, actually, when I was watching the episode and it came out to this part, I was like blown away. My jaw was on the floor, because I did not see this coming at all. So, a big applause moment for Terry Matalas and his writing crew.
Uh, what did you think of Geordi and that whole thing with his daughters? I kind of heard before that he was estranged from Sydney, but I didn't realize like he was that worried about her going out into space. He's very overprotective. He tells Picard, I never feared for my life the way I fear for hers. And it's kind of makes sense why he has his other daughter kind of with him on Daystrom Station. It's technically a safer place to be than out there in the cosmos facing danger all the time. What did you think of Sydney and Alondra? What did you think of Alondra?
I didn't realize that Jordy had two daughters. I thought he just had the one daughter, Sydney, but I really like Jordy's concern for his daughter, because as an individual who grew up with I grew up with a bunch of helicopter parents. They were always on top of me, and they were always keeping me in this little cocoon. And to a matter of fact, they kind of still are. So I understood Sydney's want to sort of get away from her father and sort of stand on her own 2 feet. But in the same notion, I understand Geordie's need to keep his dog safe, and I get that. But I also, like I just said, I also understand Sydney's need to sort of get away from her father and stand on her own 2 feet.
Yeah. Another thing we find, there's a lot of information, by the way, that's been revealed in this episode. I mean, it's hard to kind of keep track in my head because I've only seen it the once. But we find out that Jack, or Beverly discovers that Jack has Aromatic syndrome. That was, obviously it was inherited through his father. And there's another heart-to-heart scene in 10 Forward. I like those moments, but to be honest, like the out of everything that happens in the episode, those were the least interesting moments. Even though I know why they're valuable. All I wanted to see was Worf and Raffi get on the Titan. That finally happens. I like the moment when Beverly hugs him, and there's a lot of humor in this episode too. And Worf's like, he's not a hugger, and Worf kind of recoils too, right? So they go and brief, and it's cool to see Seven and Worf, and right, it's just great. Cool to see all these people together, especially you've never seen this before ever. And by the way, I got to mention, this is the first television episode of Star Trek correct me if I'm wrong, to feature the main cast of TNG in 29 years, since 1994, All Good Things. We have Picard, Riker, Worf, Data Plus, Beverly, Deanna shows up at the very end. Who did I miss? Geordi, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So
I absolutely think you're right. That it's been that long since we've had our entire Motley crew together, in some aspect, because, like you said, Deanna shows up at the very, very end of this episode.
yeah, and basically when Raffi and Worf get on the Titan, they brief the crew on the plan to hack into Daystrom. They go there, but the Titan has to leave because they're going to be apprehended. They go to Geordi, who is at the Fleet Museum. I think I accidentally said earlier that he worked at Daystrom Station. I meant to say Fleet Museum. If I said that, I probably got those confused. But Geordi says he can't help because they're fugitives, and he's especially pissed off at Picard because he knowingly, he says, put his daughter Cindy in danger. And that's where you get the whole speech about, like, he fears for her life, and he's never feared for his life as much as he does for hers. And, there's conflict there, and it works. It really works well, and you totally understand Geordi's reasons. And then after that, he wants to speak to his daughter, and there's a very heated argument there. And he goes, "Were your like?" By the way, LeVar Burton's acting is just really fucking good. Pardon the language, but I mean, god damn. What did you think of that? Both the scene between Picard and LaForge, and then Sydney and LaForge.
I really like the scene between Geordi and Picard because I thought that it was really unique how we got to see a different side of these two men who we've known for ever now, who I've known for most of my life, but to see them talk about being parents and what that does to an individual once you realize that you love something more than you love yourself, and you have this sort of innate desire to protect them with every fiber of your being, and you kind of want to shield them away from the universe. You kind of want to protect them from everything, but you have to understand this wasn't specifically said in the scene, but I really got all of this out of my head, and I thought that they were sort of projecting this. You sort of have to understand as a parent that you can only protect your children to a certain extent. At some point, you will have to let them go, and you will have to trust them to make the right decision, and you have to trust that they will be okay. And I think Geordi, through this situation, is going to discover that with Sydney.
Yeah, and I like the turn at the end when, Geordi has no other choice but to become a fugitive with them.
Yeah, of course.
And then he goes down to engineering with... Okay, well, first of all, there's some kind of chemistry, romantic chemistry between Jack and Sydney. Mm-hmm. And Geordi picks up on it. But we're going to get to that. But first, I want to get out of the way just some like strange Easter eggs that just... Okay. I don't know. This Daystrom stuff really caught my eye. I'm like everything they're showing. I'm wondering if there's a reason. This is one of them. It's the Genesis 2 device, which I don't know if everybody caught.
No, I didn't know. I didn't catch this either.
Riker looks at it, and it's only there for a second, and then Raffi looks at the James T. Kirk thing, which I don't know what that's about. Is it his body or what? I don't know.
Okay, but here's another question before you move on. I have a question for you. Why in the hell would Daystrom have this shit? Why wouldn't
that's
they
what I'm
destroy
wondering.
it? Why would they have it?
Here's another one. Of course, Worf is the one who comes up to this one. It's a genetically altered tribble. It's an attack tribble. So I thought that was pretty. I mean, people will accuse this particular season of being too fan servicey,
Oh hell no.
just kind of like over the top with everything has to be connected to something we've seen before. Like even with Moriarty as the guard. See, it's working for me. It's pulp. It's pulpy. But it's not like 100% grounded. You know what it feels like? It feels like a good '90s Star Trek film, just stretched out
No,
over
no,
10 episodes.
no, I think
What I'm saying is I totally buy it. Yeah, go ahead.
right. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. For me
I
personally,
don't know. You
yeah,
get
for me personally, I'm with you. I think this season so far has properly balanced the member berries with a good story that would have worked in an early TNG movie. Like I think that Terry Metalis and the other writers in Picard season 3 are doing such a good job with that balance and the level of dialogue that they're using in the season. I think is the best dialogue that has been given to a Picard storyline since day one, if not in the entire season, if not in the history of the entire show.
and it's really giving the actors like juicy kind of like stuff to work with.
Yeah.
Even like as soon as you hear the first line from well, not the first line, but the first line LaForge says when he comes aboard the Titan. He has something about like as I was dematerializing and reforming or whatever. He's like I contemplated whether I should give a handshake or a heartfelt hug, and I thought that was a good point about like these people never really hugged before. There wasn't a lot of sentiment. There were moments, but now that they're older, like you have Beverly hugging Worf, and then it's a little more personable. And with Geordi in particular, he feels much more. He feels like an evolved character. Like he's settled. He's not. He doesn't want to mess around. He doesn't want to get in trouble. He doesn't want to do anything that's going to rock the boat. And when he finds himself in this situation, he's understandably upset. But given the situation, he jumps on board at the end. Now we're gonna get to the part where Seven and Jack take a little trip down memory lane. First of all, I just want to show an image. This is Daystrom Station, where it has a whole bunch of ships that we're all familiar with. But the first one that they show, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. You're gonna have to give me a second. My computer's a little slow. Is the USS dun, 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 Defiant. Now, this doesn't mean a hell of a lot unless it comes into play sometime later. Like
So,
I have to believe that just hey, here's the Defiant and they show another Constitution class. What'd you think of this?
so you
This to give you the feels?
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. This whole sequence really gave me the feels because, like I said previously on your stream and Sohail's stream, like my favorite Star Trek is TNG, but right behind that is DS9. So seeing the Defiant again was just a whole lot of fun. I thought that ship was the Enterprise for a split second.
For a
until
split second, yeah.
Yeah, until
It's the
Jack
New Jersey.
goes, New Jersey. I'm like, first of all, you guys have to forgive me. I'm not a ship guy, so yeah, I was like the New
Personally,
Jersey.
I don't
Yes.
remember the New Jersey. I'm sure it's something that I'm just not. I can't remember right now, and somebody will point it out
Yeah.
later. But look at how true to that design or that aesthetic of the '60s that this is,
So
and
good.
this is live action. They've done it in animation, but this is the first time in live action where they've kind of been this visually faithful to a '60s kind of Star Trek aesthetic.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
I
that.
mean, again, just this sequence alone shows you how much care and how much detail the production staff and the writers are taking with Star Trek. And it's just wonderful to see that people making this specific season of Star Trek care so much to put in little details like that.
And here's the kicker. Well, one of them. The last two are the best, I think.
Yeah,
this is the Enterprise A.
Yeah, I love it.
From Star Trek's the end of Star Trek 4 and 5 and 6.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of when the Enterprise A was introduced was first introduced at the end of Star Trek 4, I was really really excited because if you'll have to forgive me for a second, PJ. When they first went onto the bridge, I was like, that bridge looks fucking awesome. And what they did with it in the Final Frontier really ticked me off because I was like, that bridge looked awesome, and now you're going to tell me that nothing works on the goddamn ship?
It looks really bland in 5 for some reason, the bridge. I don't
Yeah, I don't I mean perhaps I'll
it looks best in 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. The bridge design in 6 and the fact that they sort of let go of the fact that the ship doesn't work in 6, and they said, okay, we're going to redesign the bridge and we're going to make everything work again. I really like that decision in 6 over the decision that they made in 5.
Yeah. Then, funny enough, I forgot to take a screenshot of The Bounty, what the episode is named after. But here's the sentimental part that really kind of got me, is when she shows the Voyager and she's telling Jack, that was my home. It was in the farthest reaches, and she says, I was reborn there. And I was like, that's good.
That's so good.
It's good stuff. Yes, it's all familiar stuff we've known before, and remember this and remember that. I get it. I'm totally jumping on the nostalgia bandwagon because the story is interesting enough. Like, again, I've said before, by the way, if you want to know me and Marcelo's thoughts on the previous episode, haven't discussed this on this channel, but you can go to Starfleet Sohail. We were on last week's show. We might be on tonight's show, probably.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, probably.
Great group of folks over there. A lot of people have a big discussion about these episodes. But yeah, how did you feel about that whole 7 thing?
Yeah, I you know what? Look. People might watch this episode and say that this scene is nothing but, member berries and fan service. But I don't think so. This is fan service for sure, but this is fan service that was baked into the plot. This wasn't fan service for fan service sake, at least in my estimation, because it was baked into the plot of the episode that they had to go to this place. Like if they went to this place for absolutely no reason, that would have been pure fan service for no reason at all, except to just get us. But the fact that they baked it into the story was just great. And then that speech that Seven gives, and she says that this ship was my home and I was reborn there. I was like, oh my God, you're making me want to rewatch Voyager right now.
It's and like I said, you made a good point. Like, you could view it as pointless fan service, but it is baked into the plot. So it's there for a reason, and unless you want to like actively argue against it, I mean, I'm just going with the flow in that sense. I just hope that they're showing the ships so that they may play a role later on, as opposed to like it's like in Discovery, mild spoilers, when you see that Voyager in the 3rd season, you're like, well, is something gonna happen with that ship? Kind of, but no. You see it again, I think, but I can't remember the Voyager J in any kind of like memorable situation in Discovery. So in that case, they kind of just show it, and it's like, hey, look, remember here? I want these ships to play a part later. I have no idea if they do or not. But last thing she shows them is the bounty, And the Bounty is the Klingon ship that the Enterprise crew from Star Trek 3 stole from Krug, that is then used to go back in time to 1980 San Francisco. And then when it comes back with the whales and saves the Earth, it apparently sunk. And did they have a hard time finding it because it was cloaked? Like it was accidentally cloaked when it sank? Or I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, it was eventually resurrected and put in the Fleet Museum. But that gives Jack the idea of, hey, that has a cloaking device. We have access to a cloaking device. And then him and Sidney LaForge hooked the cloaking device up to the ship so that they could get back and rescue Riker, Raffi, and Worf and bring back the data they need. But before we get to that, I just want to say I love the conversation, the exchange that happens when Seven says, we're cloaking. And then Geordi thinks Picard betrayed him, but he's like, I would never. And then he goes, oh, Jack. And he goes, Sydney. And I love that. That was it was a really good, perfect moment. Ruben, remember?
Oh my God! see, but hold up. Yeah. I just want to say to Ruben who's actually in the comment section of our video right now. Ruben, to me, it was member berries with a purpose. Okay, it was member berries with a purpose, my friend. To me,
to be totally fair, the silliest I ever felt it got was in Daystrom with Moriarty and the whistling thing and the flashbacks to encounter at Farpoint. I went along with it, but at the same time I was like, that part of it felt like the ultimate fan film that somebody would make, and that's not a knock. It's just that, like, really, Moriarty and the whistling thing, and like, okay, sure, I guess. And I can see people being of probably two minds on that particular issue. Like Ruben obviously would be like, man, this is just all nostalgia bait. You guys are just buying into it. he made another. All 1,000 have a purpose. 1,000 what? I don't get that
1,000
one.
what?
References. References. Probably.
References.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? Look. You thought that, having Moriarty do the whistling thing from Encounter at Farpoint.
It was Data's memory of the whistling.
Right.
That was like messing up his head, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was a brilliant story crux that Terry Matalas and his writing team came up with for this episode, to make sure that the individual that was, in that was within the space station was actually a friend, because if the individual that was in the station wasn't a friend, I think that Moriarty would have killed that individual. But because that individual was Riker, what happened. So
we find out when they get to Data Lore before Law Soong.
Data Plus.
We find out that Alton Soong, he died, but before he can complete his work, he made a new android that was like aged up to look like a 70-year-old man. So they explain that it's not like, why does Brent Spiner not de-age? There's a reason. And besides, I think once they mention in TNG that Data is meant to age, and I think in another instance they may contradict that. Like in All Good Things, he just has a shock of gray in his hair. Jill says, I think the whistling was a challenge test. Yeah, it's because Riker caught on. I didn't understand what was going on at first. And then when I heard the Pop Goes the Weasel thing, and they actually show the flashback to encounter its Starfleet,
It's
like
great.
cropped into widescreen and all
Yeah,
this.
it's
I was like,
great.
that's
Oh.
interesting. It reminded me. I'm not going to get into Cobra Kai, but it reminded me of how Cobra Kai uses footage from the Karate Kid movies as flashbacks. So that works. But here's the thing: Alton Soon created this android that has elements of LOL, B4, lore, data, and himself to create like this new entity. But the problem was he didn't complete it, so we basically have an android with multiple personalities. And
Multiple personality disorder.
they all assume Data. They keep calling him Data, and of course the reveal at the end is like, oh, Lore's taken over. So will Data come through? And they do mention twice Data died twice. They acknowledge it. And they're like, oh, and it's almost like, oh, a third time now? What's he going to sacrifice himself again? But who knows?
No, you know what? I think that for this second half of, oh, shut up, Ruben. Look, and I say that
Say that
because
with love.
I say that because I love the man. I'm sorry.
It's like, shut up, Wesley.
Yeah, shut up. I'm sorry. Hold on. I think that Lore is going to be in charge of this version of Data Plus, but I do think that Data's personality within Data Plus or this new android is going to eventually win the day, and I think we're going to get a new version of Data back, or old Data.
Stephen Haverty, who we've never had here before, thank you for joining. He says, but wasn't the android he created originally for himself, then he used it for Picard? Yes, that's true. So he was kind of pressed to use a prototype. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Because Soong was dying, he tried to use what he had left. Yeah.
Right.
It was a big sacrifice for him too. It's like, I'm gonna give up my life for you, Picard, so you can have my golem. Mm-hmm. And by the way, his cadaver does come into play, and it's like, what's up with that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a very interesting episode. Anyway, they get the cloaking device, and by the way, when LaForge goes down and helps, like he kind of joins the effort. I love that. That was like a yes moment. Like, yes, they're all on the same page.
Also, if I just could, in this episode, a line that was said in the first episode of the season, where Riker basically chastises Sydney for crashing ships all the time. That line is perfectly explained in this episode, where Sydney is working with Geordi on fixing the cloaking device, and she goes, "Why do you think I crashed so many ships? Because I wanted to spend time with you." I was like, "Oh,
want to spend time with you fixing them."
Yeah. That is so good.
Yeah, it's just like night and day in terms of like dialogue and exchange in between like. And then I'm not trying to knock the previous two seasons. It's just a different ball game this time.
Yeah.
And yes, you could argue that there's a lot of references and stuff like that, and remember this and remember that. We've said that. But like, okay, for example, right before Geordi jumps on board, he has that argument with Picard about you don't know how many treaties this violates. And Picard's like, just add it to my tab. I'm like, what the fuck? I laughed. I'm like, and Geordi gives him a look like, oh. But Geordi's pissed off expression toward the end becomes kind of amusing, not in a bad way. It's just like, Geordi, you're in it now, dude. Like, acquiesce. And he does. And then when he goes down and helps Jack and Sydney, he looks at Jack. He's like, "Stay away from my daughter." Like, all this is good stuff. Even like the Worf is like the constant comic relief in this series too, to where they're at Daystrom Station and Data Plus, as we call him, is all like not functioning well. And Worf's like, is there a reset button? Like, he's getting annoyed. I did find it kind of cheesy that, like, holograms come out of his eyeballs to show the hologram of the cadaver. Whatever. Yeah, all that's just juicy, good stuff. A lot of reveals, and it turns out they can't get Riker out because Riker, before the Titan's able to beam out Raffi, Worf, and Data Plus, Riker distracts the guards by fighting them. Gets captured, by the way. Turns out to be Vadic. Vadic, confirmation now. She's a changeling. Hinted at the beginning of the episode. But I like how they're beating Riker up, and Riker's not giving her an inch. It's like, nope. And then the very end, the reveal. I thought the reveal was going to be Deanna and Kestra, but Vadic just has Deanna.
You know what?
And that line at the end, oh, Will. I love that. Good stuff.
Yeah, you know what? When that reveal was made of that the alien that was beating the shit out of Riker was Vadic, I was like, you know what? I bet you Vadic is going to go against her masters for whatever reason. And she's sort of going to angle herself to become the overall leader of the changelings. But also with that being that's just a theory. I have no basis. Well, I do have a basis to kind of explain that. But the other thing is that I was really happy to see Deanna again, but I was like, where's Kestra? If you're gonna kidnap Deanna Troi, you might as well take her child, because how affecting would it have been to see both of them in there, not just one of them?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they're gonna mention. They're gonna have to mention where Kestra is.
Yeah, I would think they have to do that.
And you know what? If I don't recall, but I can't remember if she's ever mentioned in this season yet. I know the son is mentioned, the deceased son, Thaddeus, is mentioned, but if someone was just going into this without seeing anything else, would they even know at this point that they had a daughter? Has she been mentioned? I don't know. I can't remember. Somebody point that out if they can.
I don't remember at all.
Yeah, so everybody gets a moment. And like I said, this is the first Star Trek episode in 29 years to feature the main cast of Star Trek The Next Generation on top of, Seven. And who knows who else we'll see. Moriarty was there. I think Moriarty's the one and done. I had heard, I didn't know anything about the episode. I had heard he was in one episode. So I guess that was it. Unless he's back again for some reason. A lot of people speculated that he may be there to thwart Lore. Like Lore was going to be a problem and they were going to use Moriarty to outsmart Lore. My expectations are kind of all over the place now because I can't really see where this is going. Assumptions that I made about where it was going to go, it's all up in the air now. I do know that Frontier Day, as of the end of this episode, is roughly 48 hours away, and we have episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10 to go. So 4 episodes to take place presumably in the next 48 hours, which means that it's just going to be steady go. Like there's not going to be.
Nope.
It's going to be just, presumably, just going to keep building and building.
Yeah. After this episode, After this episode, I have no idea where it's going to go either, but I'm really, really excited to see where Terra Metalis and the writers lead us, because I'm so excited to see the second half of this fantastic season of Star Trek. Picard, which I thought would be which I thought I would never say, but I should have known better because I'm a huge fan of Terra Metalis.
And I've liked all the episodes so far. 5, just because the I wanted to get away from Metallus Prime and
Oh,
dealing with, but they got it's done and over with. That part's done. And the only thing about episode 5, the drama between Ro and Picard is a little overplayed, but I get why it's there. It's for them to suss each other out to make sure that they are who they are. And it was so great to see Ro back. You didn't necessarily need closure on her story if you just watch Preemptive Strike and that was it. You can surmise what happened to her. A lot of people assume she died or she just went on and did something else. But again, it's good to know that like she did something with her life and she went out with a noble sacrifice.
do you think? Do you think that we're gonna see? I look. I know. Will Wheaton has said, "Look, guys, I'm not in season." But do you think that he could be possibly, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, lying to us and
We
show
don't
up
need we don't
at
need
some
any
point?
reminders of the end of season 2.
Okay,
The Traveler stuff.
All right.
I don't know. I don't know if it would make sense for a Traveler to come in at this point. It seems to be a more like less mystical kind of season. More. I wouldn't say grounded because it is like sci-fi pulpy action, but
Yeah.
it's
No, but-
it's not like Q level or Traveler level kind of stuff. But although the changelings are very powerful and mystical in ways.
Right.
And who knows about what's going on with Jack? Is that like a genetic thing? Is it genetic manipulation? Is it, some people said parates? Are they bringing, or I don't know. We've yet to find out, aside from the aromatic syndrome, exactly what's wrong with Jack. Stephen asks, I only came in a few minutes ago, but I'm curious if you guys discussed anything about the things seen in Daystrom Station in the background. We did discuss
Yes, we did,
the
kind of.
Genesis 2 device. The what I think is the cadaver of James T. Kirk, because why would there be like a medical scan of like presumably his body with like James T. Kirk and then his bio, presumably his bio in a paragraph underneath with his stats and all this. That was weird. Then they had the genetically altered attack tribble. Oh, Ruben's loving this.
What do you say now?
No, I'm just assuming. I'm going to get to his comment in a second. And what was the other thing? The Genesis 2.
Genesis 2, the
Well, hold on,
Kirk cadaver, and there was something else in there. What?
Presumably the Kirk cadaver, but yeah, we don't know.
Maybe. Was there
Yeah,
anything else in
those
there?
were the things I noticed. There's probably more stuff.
Right.
That what's that guy on Twitter, Jorg? He always gets all the Easter eggs.
Yeah, and Father
Really
will
helps out a lot of
probably pick up
YouTubers.
anything. Yeah. No, like anything we missed in there, I think Father will pick up.
Ruth says more members. I guess like member berries. I guess he's trying to say. Travelers. That weird alien girl Data saved that one time and then memory wiped. Oh, compa. It should be endgame of members. Yes, indeedly doodly. Maybe they're interested in the Nexus.
Wait, Jill, if you can
changelings.
explain that. Oh, the changeling. Why would they? Wait a minute.
Yeah, assuming that the Nexus still went on and on. Like, where would that be at this point? And could people still access it? I wonder.
Okay, but let's take that theory by Jill for a second. Why would the changelings want to go into the Nexus when they have the Great Link? Or or did I miss something and say the Great Link was destroyed, or did I have a complete brain fart?
Presumably, the Great Link is still there, and everything's cool on the Founder's home planet because Worf mentioned he'd gotten a communique from Odo. So unless Odo's somewhere else, I don't know. Jill says, no, Daystrom Station would be interested in the effects of the Nexus on a human body. Remember all the time powers Guinan had. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for clarifying, Jill. I just took your theory, sort of ran with it there.
So do you think Jack and Sydney are going to hook up?
No.
No.
Look. I'm warming up to Jack, but I still don't like it very much. I'm warming up to him, but I still don't. I think that as the season goes along, I think I'm seeing more of Jean-Luc Picard in him, but him hooking up with Sydney or the other daughter, um,
There was a
I'm
nice
just
moment when you're talking about the traits. There's a nice moment between Jack and Picard where Jack's like, maybe I inherited some good traits from you. It's like
right.
they're really they're really giving Jack and Picard a few nice moments. It never feels overdone. Like, oh, again with a heart to heart. It's like every time they do it, it kind of means something, and they're growing closer, which would only make whatever's happening to Jack that much more difficult for Picard to deal with when he finds out, like, oh, you're some kind of mutated changeling killer. They kind of know Jack is like that, but it hasn't really been kind of like discussed, or it hasn't been such a point of concern. I understand there's a lot going on. As Steven says, yeah, I was rather confused about Kirk as well, because though it was implied to be a cadaver, but you did notice the sound of the medical bioscan heartbeat heard while Raffi was looking at James T. Kirk. Dude, if somehow Kirk ends up in this season, how and what and who, what? Eh?
Yeah, yeah.
But who? Probably not. I don't know.
Probably no.
Anything can happen. There's a lot of people who've seen the rest of the season who are like, there are surprises, and I'm like, well, sure, yeah, there's surprises in every episode, but Kirk, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
But it's interesting that they showed it, and why would they? And like, Stephen pointed out,
Yeah.
would a cadaver need a biobed sound like that, or maybe just a tease? Yeah, it's a curiosity indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And Jill says the appearance of the Genesis 2 along with cadavers of legendary Starfleet figures is pretty interesting. I got a feeling that's a lot of people are going to kind of linger on that in discussions, like a lot of theorizing about why show this stuff.
No,
The attack tribble I can dismiss as something Worf doesn't like or something. I don't know.
No, I mean, look, as a writer, one of my creeds and one of the things that I always tell people, if you bring up anything in your script or your movie, you have to, for you to bring that up has to mean something. It just can't be there because you want it to be. So I think them showing the scan of Kirk's body, I think that means something, and I also think the Genesis device is gonna play into the final episodes that we have coming up here in a couple weeks. I don't think it's there just to be there.
Yeah, then it's a powerful device that can create life, but it can also destroy.
Destroy it.
Destroy. Ruben has a great idea. Zombie Starfleet spinoff. By the way, Terry Batalis has pointed out that a lot of people talk about, will there be a Star Trek Titan series? And he's come to say that, like, I would rather call a spinoff Star Trek Legacy. So if you're looking for a continuation in the 25th century with this kind of Titan crew, I guess, or certain characters from the show, don't know who's going to survive, so I don't know. But if you want this to continue, if you like this kind of Trek, hashtag Star Trek Legacy. And you know what? If they're gonna give me all the references and nostalgia in the final voyage of the TNG crew, sure. It all depends on how it plays out at the end. I mean, it's getting exciting. I'm sure you could go back and say, like, what's this about, or poke holes in it, but as long as it's fun, I don't really care about the little things. I only, like any of us, we only kind of like linger on the little things when we're bored or it's not interesting. Star Trek Legacy. Jill says if Shatner is in this show, it will be the best protected spoiler of all time.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I mean, wow.
Nobody's ever hinted or spilled the beans on whether that is true or not. So
Actually, but what if it's
who
not?
knows?
Like, what if it's not Shatner for some wackadoo reason? I mean, this wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. None. I acknowledge that, but
What
for
do you
me,
mean?
it
Like
was just
you? What do you mean? Like Shatner around the time of Generations, like that age?
uh, no. I was thinking, what if it was again? This makes no sense. I acknowledge that before I say it. What if the Kirk in there isn't William Shatner? What if it's what's his name? Paul Wesley.
Ruben just said that as you were saying it.
Oh,
The comment popped up as you were saying that. Um,
oh
who's
wow.
Paul? Remind me of who Paul Wesley is.
Paul Wesley is the actor who's gonna play Kirk in Strange New Worlds, and Paul
Oh, Paul
Wesley,
Wesley. Yeah, that guy.
yes, but and Paul Wesley also played Stefan on the Vampire Diaries. Shout out to the Vampire Diaries. Love that show.
Let's just say, for argument's sake, somehow Kirk is. I don't like. I can't imagine. The only way I can see Kirk being in it is if they use a hologram of Kirk
I could
to
work.
command a ship. Like they need a bunch of ships at the end, and like Geordi needs to, like, say Geordi's on the Enterprise D, and Riker's on maybe, well, okay, let's say uh, Shaw's on the Titan, and then Riker's on another ship, and then I don't know, Picard commands the Enterprise A. Let's just say, for argue, like, just shits and giggles, and then like the holographic Kirk has the original of no, well, no, it wouldn't be the original because
Has
that
the
doesn't
Enterprise
exist.
A? No, Picard
But
has that one.
okay, let's say Kirk has the Enterprise A and Picard has something else. I don't know. I'm just
No,
okay.
Picard.
Seven commands the Voyager. Oh shit, I'm getting really crazy
Yeah,
about this now. No,
that'll be good.
I'm getting my hopes up. No, I can't do it.
But no, okay. Well, hold up. We, we saw that scene in this episode where Jack and Seven go through the various ships, right? And I just said a little while ago that a good writer doesn't introduce something unless he or she pays it off. So what if, through some reason, a situation like you said pops up where we need all those ships, and we see we see like the bridges of those ships, like every single ship that we saw in the museum has to be shown and has to be used for a specific reason,
Yeah,
right? I don't know.
I don't. Okay. Where's Father? Yeah, he said Terry said a while back that he wanted to rename the show Legacy, but they made him leave it Picard. Yeah,
Oh,
this season,
oh,
yeah,
really?
they wanted to.
Okay. He
It would
wanted
then be
to.
like a mini series, then, wouldn't it?
Okay, no, but actually, you know what? That would have been. I mean, look, that would have been a really cool idea to to sort of like separate this season from the first two seasons of Picard even further, to name it, Star Trek Legacy instead of Star Trek Season 3. I think that would have been a good idea, but I do understand why Alex and uh, CBS didn't let Terry do didn't let Terry do that.
Yeah. I don't want to get into too much speculation about what might happen in the next 4 episodes because it might not go the way we think.
No, I don't think so.
But going forward now, Riker is going to be imprisoned with his wife, and they're going to have a big talk, I bet you, in episode 7
Yeah. Yep. They're gonna
about
have a sit down.
about life. And I do know in a preview image from way back, you do see Deanna and Riker in what appears to be a room on the Shrike. I didn't realize that at first, but now it seems apparent. And she's like, "Yeah, you just jumped at the opportunity to go when Picard called you or something." So they're having some kind of argument in the when they're in prison together. Um, well,
Everybody is.
everybody's still alive. Maybe I'll quit this week to avoid another Hugh situation.
What?
Well, I'm missing something.
Yeah. What?
Sorry,
What was?
probably
I don't
responding
know.
to somebody else there.
Oh, I didn't
Father
know
he
it was any
asks,
question.
"Do you all know the name of the next episode?" I can look it up.
I don't know. What is
Why?
the
Can
name
you
of
tell me, Father? Are you? Do you know?
He probably knows, unless he's pulling our chain.
I do remember they were listed on Wikipedia, and they were accurate up until this point.
No. What about?
Although
What
there's
about?
been a couple of times where people have had the wrong names, and I don't know where they got those from.
What about?
Uh,
What about checking on IMDb?
doesn't say. It
It doesn't say.
doesn't say past
Okay.
episode 6. And by the way, now the 6 episodes have elapsed. Those are we now know what everybody got in terms of screeners who didn't then go on to illegally watch it.
Right.
The rest, I wouldn't say well, technically, yeah, not a legal route. That's why when people talk about they saw the 10 episodes, they don't ever say how, because they don't want to implicate themselves.
Mm.
They clearly pointed out that modern Starfleet ships are linked and can be found, but maybe the old fleet ships in the museum are not. Yes. So maybe
Oh,
more than
that's
just
a
a
great
cloaking
point.
device is needed later on. Good. Yeah,
That's a
that's
great
good.
point. The old
Forgot
ships
to
aren't
mention
linked.
that
That's a
too.
wonderful point.
That the Titan would have been found regardless. They thought, let's hide behind a moon or whatever they were doing to avoid detection. It's like, no, that's not going to work. You're actually going to need a cloak. They're going to kill somebody from the main TNG cast. I think I'm
Ooh.
still not over Hugh. Okay, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you know what?
I
Sorry, I'll let you go in a second. If they kill Geordi, if they kill
that
one of
makes
his
sense.
daughters, or they kill leave the LaForges alone. Don't mess with the LaForges. They're the ones you have to stay away from, because I want to see Geordi and his daughters in another show go on. Don't mess with them. Don't do it, Terry.
uh,
It's been done already, but don't do it.
okay.
If it
Okay.
has been, yeah, I doubt they're gonna mess with Geordi, but that's the
Yeah.
one. Like,
Okay.
no, don't do it.
Okay. Now let me just say I don't want any of my beloved TNG cast to die, but if someone has to go, uh, I would pick. I mean, this would be a kick in the nuts, but I would pick Deanna. Um, I yeah. Uh, yeah. I would. I would
What
pick.
a tragedy that would be for Riker, though.
Yeah.
Lost his son and his wife.
Yeah. I would. Like. I mean, people. Don't get me wrong. I love Deanna Troy, but that one would hurt. But to me, that would hurt the least. If that makes sense. If I have to kill one of my beloved characters, I would choose her.
Marina Sirtis is sitting home right now, one of the 5 or 6 viewers, and saying, "Bollocks to you, mate!
Bollocks! I'm
I'm gonna drink me whiskey."
Yeah. Right.
Oh, Marina Sirtis. Actually, you know what? Out of anybody and this is not an insult to her. This really isn't. Out of anybody in the TNG cast, I would be the least nervous to ever meet her. Out of anybody,
Really? Okay.
just because she seems so down to earth and easy to get along with,
Yeah.
that I wouldn't feel inhibited if, like, let's go have a drink or something. I'd be like, yeah, sure. I wouldn't feel that excuse
The
me, Patrick
nervousness?
Stewart or Michael Dorn or Gates McFadden. I'd be like, I forget my name. Like, for whatever reason, Marina Sirtis seems like your like your buddy down the street or so. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's hard to explain.
Yeah. Like your friend, right? She has that. She has that approachable quality that the other ones kind of don't.
Yeah. But I do love that line at the end. Oh, Will. I saw a couple of people quoted on Twitter. I did too, but Jill says, I think Geordi would die, only because that would break my heart the most. It would break my heart too. I think that would just be. But who do you pick? The only thing
yeah,
I
my
can think
pick.
of, they say all the legacy characters not going to make it out. Easy. Data's going to die a third time, or like
Oh my god.
this version of
No, but
Data Plus.
who said that? Did Terry say that?
No. I'm just guessing. I'm saying, like, yeah, if any death makes sense to where, like, okay, it would make sense never to see this character again, because I get it's an aging android meant to look old, but do we really want like 75 or somewhere down the line like 80-year-old Brent Spiner still with the contacts and the makeup? I think, and it's gonna rub people the wrong way, you bring Data back again to kill him off again.
No.
But in this case, there's a caveat, not necessarily Data. And it seems
Data
that,
plus.
I don't know if this is true, Lore's the dominant force. I don't want there to be a situation where in the next 4 episodes, you get Data Plus being like, I'm Lore, no, I'm Data, and like this conflict in himself, and like them fighting with each other. It's like, although maybe there's a way that Geordi can help what Alton was trying to do and merge the personalities into like the best of all worlds, basically.
Yeah. And that sort of backs up my theory that I floated at the beginning of the stream, where I said I think for a while there's going to be that conflict between within Data Plus, but I do think at a point I think that whether it's going to be Geordi or one of his daughters or whomever, they're going to figure out a way to complete Sung's work and merge all the Data's personalities together to where we're going to get a new version of Data, or Old Man Data.
And he has to sing Blue Skies at the end.
Oh, God, no.
Steven says, the only cast member I ever met was James Doohan. I've never met a person from Star Trek ever. I've seen guest actors in Trek, like in the mall. Like there's a few people from my province, Newfoundland, who showed up. Robert Joy is one of them. Nicole DeBoer is somebody who did a show here one time. She was Ezri Dax. She's Canadian, but she's not from here. I never saw her. Like literally, just people who were like, "Oh, that guy was in an episode," or like this person, but never an actual main person that I've actually met.
Yeah, I actually met. Well, I actually kind of met Stephen Bear.
Ira Stephen Bear, yeah.
Yeah, Ira Stephen Bear from Deep Space Nine, because I was on. Big shout out to Larry Nemechek. I was on a panel where Ira Stephen Bear basically talked about his entire career at Deep Space Nine and the whole thing. Like, I spent 2 hours listening to the guy talk. So, I kind of met him, but I haven't met any direct cast members from TNG or any kind of Star Trek.
Ruben said she loved my I Break for Mushrooms Mario Kart shirt. I was talking about Marina Sirtis.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And Steven says he was absolutely amazing, referring to James Doohan. Ruben says Doohan was the first cast member I met when I was like 14, I think.
Oh, cool.
Steve's the same for him. Data should be on every Trek show moving forward.
I mean, come on. You know what? You know what, Ruben? I'll give you that one because Brent Spiner has to eat. I'll give you that one.
He's not going to sell all those audiobooks. By the way, Brent Spiner's audiobook reading, his last book about his stalker or whatever, it's a semi-fictional account of his time on TNG that features actual voices from the cast of TNG.
Oh, cool. So I didn't know he writes books now?
Yeah. The name escapes me. Starfleet Boy turned me on to the latest book that he wrote about. It's really silly. I can't endorse it in the sense that I listened to it as an audiobook narrated by Brent Spiner, and Brent Spiner has this kind of like older raspy voice now, and when he's talking about sexual things, it's like, oh,
no, but no, but
not explicit, but there's stuff.
yeah. But the reason why I bring it up is I'm just because I ask about it doesn't necessarily mean I'm gonna read it or anything. But
Starfleet Academy show. They find Data's head buried on the grounds, and it starts telling the kids to kill all humans. Funny story, Steven says. Pre-internet, as like a nerd 8-year-old, my library had a legit phone book with celebrity phone numbers in it, and I actually called William Shatner.
oh my god.
He's like, "What are you calling my house for?" It's like, "I love Star Trek. I love Captain Kirk. Get a life."
Get a life, shut.
It's like that SNL skit. Well, Stephen Fothery has a great story about William Shatner, where he's kind of like rude to him, and Stephen said something nerdy to him, and I can't recall, but Shatner's like, that was a fictional character, right? It's like he's kind of snotty, but William Shatner's kind of all over the place. He's direct. Some people love him, some people hate him. He's a 92-year-old man. Let him be. Let him live his life.
Yeah, let him be. No, but to Father's point, I had a.
I would be honored if William Shatner was rude to me. I would take that as a badge. Like, a celebrity was rude to me. It wouldn't affect my. In fact, I know a semi-celebrity once who was very rude to me. I watched stuff that he was in still, but whatever.
Oh yeah, I had this encounter with the designer from Star Trek 2009, and I asked him like the serious question about, I think, makeup or something, and he basically was very, very rude to me, and he said that why are you thinking so much into it? You're such a nerd. And I was like, okay.
Steven says, he was nice. He just said that he was busy and couldn't talk, so he suggested a convention if he wanted to meet me. Well, that's very polite of him. Ruben says, I met him for about 4 seconds to take a picture. He probably took 1,000 pictures that day, but he was straightforward. Spiner was super cool. Yeah, Brent Spiner seems like a laugh. Same thing with Jonathan Frakes. Jonathan Frakes seems like a cool guy to hang around with, too.
Yeah, Jonathan Frakes.
I'll never meet any of these people, by the way, but whatever.
No. Jonathan Frakes is another guy who's, at least to me, he's another guy who seems to be, for me, more approachable. He seems like a guy that I could just go get a drink with.
He was on Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You podcast. I suggest people check that out because, for one thing, he curses like a sailor. He's like F and this, and it's like big potty mouth. But yeah, it's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's like when Patrick Stewart in Blunt Talk, like he curses so much in that. It's like, oh, it's kind of cool. It's kind of funny. Also, I might suggest. I want to suggest 2 other. We're going to wrap it up before we go. I want to suggest 2 other podcasts. One is the Shuttle Pod Show. Their most recent episode is with Gates McFadden. You can also check out their one with Michael Dorn, which is not that, it's from a few weeks ago. About a month ago, I think. Maybe 6 weeks. But yeah, Shuttle Pod Show with Gates. I was going to say Beverly Crusher. Gates McFadden and Michael Dorn on separate shows there. Also, if you want to listen to LeVar Burton talk about his career, he was on the Rob Lowe podcast last week. Very soft-spoken. He has kind of like an ASMR kind of really like chill way of like so relaxed. You get some of that in this episode. Like he's kind of like softer tone. But he talks with Rob Lowe about playing Kute Kente in Roots and reading Rainbow and TNG and like how he couldn't see out of the visor, and he gets into all that. He's so relaxing to listen. He's surprisingly relaxing. Like he has such a soothing demeanor. Him and Rob Lowe together, you're kind of like listening and kind of like Gotta
Going
struggle to stay
sleep.
awake because it's so calming. Like their conversation, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I do want to mention. You mentioned the Shuttle Pod podcast. There's a really good interview on there, and I know this might be kind of upsetting to some people, but a really good interview that they did
Rick
was
Berman.
with. Yes, a really good interview that they
Because when you
did.
said it might be upsetting to people, I know some people have an attitude about Rick Berman, because he was,
Yeah,
he wasn't the
that
nicest
shit.
fella.
He wasn't the nicest guy. But
Oh,
but when I think about Rick Berman, I don't think about his personal shit. I just thank him for continuing Star Trek in the 90s.
yeah.
But with that shit put aside, he did a really good interview with the Shuttlepod folks. So, if you want to add on that, if you can stand him, it's a great interview.
I agree.
Yeah.
Ruben says, "What's the nearest con to you, PJ?" Well, in St. John's, it's something called a Sci-Fi on the Rock, which I guess they're still doing. Uh, I think Rene Auberjonois was there once. I could be mistaken. I know the year I wanted to go was 2017 or 18, and Doug Jones was supposed to show up, and then that got scrapped, and I was like, oh, I want to go now. It's a small convention, and sometimes you will see
I love Doug
some,
Jones,
but
man.
you rarely are Star Trek actors visiting this corner of the world. Mila Jovovich was here last year with her daughter, who's filming Peter Pan and Wendy.
Yeah.
You will get, like, Jason Momoa has been here multiple times. He filmed Frontier here and parts of Aquaman, and you do get celebrity, but like I want more Star Trekky people. I want to
More
see
Star Trek.
I want to see some Star Trekky people walking around.
More Star Trekky people. I don't go to conventions. I've never been to a convention in my life, but there was a really cool convention that took place here a couple weeks ago that was just made for me called 90s Con. And it was just basically 90s celebrities showing up and 90s
Cast of Baywatch.
pop culture. It was amazing. It was an amazing con for people that went. So if you like the 90s like I do, I strongly suggest that you go and check out and go and see some of the amazing things that happened during that convention that happened in Hartford, Connecticut a couple weeks ago around my area.
Nice, and that's
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo. Yeah.
You're in Buffalo, New York, and I'm in
No,
St.
no,
John's,
I'm
Newfoundland.
I'm in New York and Westchester County, so I'm like in the
Oh, okay.
suburbs. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Why
in
did I
Westchester
think you
County.
lived in Buffalo?
I
I have no idea why I thought that. I just assumed that for the longest time.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we? Do we have any other people who actually live in Buffalo?
I'm on that island at the edge of Canada that you can see from space. It's called the island of Newfoundland.
Okay.
Uh,
So you're at the
apparently discovered by Giovanni Caboto or John Cabot, but we
Really?
all know that everything was discovered before it was discovered. I mean, they have
Yeah.
maps of Antarctica from like the 1600s or something. It's like, come on.
Right, and we all know that Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Christopher Columbus was the only idiot to write it down. Sorry.
Christopher Columbus.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to say, so you're like on the front door to Canada? Are you actually? But you're actually in Canada, or you're like on the front door?
Well, we didn't become we were our own country up until 1949, and then we joined Canada in Confederation.
Okay.
In 1949, and then
okay.
then that's when we started getting like the British money.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait, we were a British colony before, like an independent country, and then we became part of Canada.
Right.
Anyway, it's all very boring. I think that'll just about do it for us. I was very pleased with our conversation today and the interaction with the audience, which I guess it's better to do these in the daytime because the nighttime we don't get this much activity.
No, we don't.
But if you want to check out more of a discussion on this episode, check out both Starfleet Boy or Starfleet Sohail, as he's changed it, tonight. And tomorrow night, Text Trek. Fathery will be doing his discussion and recap, in which they go through like great detail with all the Gorn eggs, as they call them, and lots of screen caps. So that's very exciting. I always watch that or listen to that. What are some other reviewers? Who before we go? What reviewers do you go to when you're looking?
I really like. I mean, I don't know how consistent he is, but I really like Geek.
Geek and Review.
Yeah. Geek and Review.
You forgot him?
I forgot his name. Oh my god, I'm sorry.
We know that guy.
Yeah, dude. Guys, my brain is fried.
Okay.
It's very early. I start drinking very early. But Geek and Review is great. He does really sort of in-depth reviews of specific Star Trek episodes. So I would recommend that you check him out. But like PJ said, like PJ just said, check out Text Trek, Sohail, and also what's that guy's name? Kurt Trax does really good reviews of Star Trek episodes as well.
Yeah.
And I can't think of everybody else right now. Oh my god.
Trek Central as well on Sundays.
Yes, Trek Central.
Trek Culture is ups and downs on Thursday afternoons.
Yeah. There's another
John
guy.
Roca has a good discussion too every week. John Roca and his friend. Steve Shives and his friend have interesting discussions. I don't listen to Steve Shives usually, just mostly with this season, because they have differing. It's like a Siskel and Ebert kind of deal. They have different views on the episode. It's interesting to see which ones they both like and which ones one likes and one doesn't.
Right.
What are some? I sometimes listen to Trek Yard's reviews, but some of them are like really long, and I might just listen to a bit of it.
There's one other guy. He's called the Sci-Fi Fanatic. He's really good, so you might want to check him out as well.
The Australian guy?
I believe he's Australian. I'm not.
Okay. Yeah.
100% sure.
Yeah, a lot more people than ever are doing discussions about the show than I've ever seen. Yep. It's insane.
Yeah, it's
I usually don't do discussions like. I don't do like the Prodigy or Lower Decks discussions anymore.
No, I mean
I don't necessarily cover every single live action episode, but the really good ones that I'm really jazzed to talk about, I kind of get on. Like I really want to thank you, Marcelo, for coming on this early. So
thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure being
here. Somebody dropped water on the machine, and its sound system was messed up. That's why he sounds Scottish. Because he said geek is an AI actually.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? I hope he never sees this episode, but he probably will. I apologize. And and the funniest thing is that I work with the guy all the time.
Jill says I watch some Picard hater channels and most are very positive about season 3.
Why do you do that? Why would you do that?
Well, I look at a lot of different. Sometimes I listen to Dave Cullen's stuff.
Okay.
Robert Meyer Burnett's friend on his channel
is
Mur. I can't pronounce. It's like a sound. Her name is a sound. It's not a real name, but she does a watch along. She's like one of the her and some guy are like one of the first ones to do like a watch along when it airs.
Oh, cool.
And Robert Meyer Burnett also does kind of a review with his friend too. Who else does them? There's a lot of people out there do.
Angry Joe?
I'm not necessarily naming the haters, as Joe pointed out. Nerdrotic, he's doing reviews. it's always a plus when people who weren't on board before are getting on board, and it's not like one of these things where, okay, now the haters love it, but now the lovers hate it. It's not one of those deals. It's universally more like, just in general, more people like it overall. And that's the most positive thing you can take away from it. Whether you agree with channels or not, we're all different. We all have different opinions. Some people will have opinions that will outright just rub you the wrong way and piss you off. And, oh, I want to mention, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, because Ruben is here, me and Ruben check out Berto Praise. I don't necessarily listen to all of it every time. I kind of check it out because he goes through every episode in detail. He will nitpick everything that needs to be nitpicked. He will say what he likes and stuff like that. But no offense to him, I like listening to his stuff sometimes. But some of the nitpicks are like a little. It's like, dude, they explained that. You didn't get. Oh, why are you nitpicking that for? That was a good thing. Like, sometimes you want certain people who aren't on board to like things that you like, but it's not always the case. And that's the beauty of the punditry. It's all. You ever like something, and then like everybody doesn't like it, and you're like, wait, am I wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong with me?
Yeah,
but it's like it's
Star Trek
also
Discovery.
subjective. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, like I can I can remember, just a quick aside, I can remember watching the first episode of Star Trek Discovery, the Vulcan Hello, and jumping online the next day thinking I was crazy because everybody, like, I ran into a wall of just hatred for the first episode of Discovery. I thought I was going insane.
Well, oh yeah, Angry Joe as well. I have been watching Angry Joe, and he loved episode 4 Picard. Yeah, and really didn't like episode 5. And that was my least favorite, but I'm 6 episodes in, and most of them are good. That's good. That's good stuff.
That's a great sign.
Just for me personally. So,
yeah, it's good.
Marcelo, where can people find you on the internets?
Yeah, if you guys want to find me and anything that I do, the best place to do that would be on Twitter. I'm at CreekFanatic88. If you go to my Twitter profile, you'll find a link that will lead you to my link tree that will also link you to everything that I do on the interwebs.
And you have a YouTube channel, Balloon Head Productions, where you do watch-alongs and reviews, and you've recently started like kind of like casual after dark type of thing that you're going to do every now and again, I suppose.
Yes. Thank you, PJ, for mentioning my channel. I do have a YouTube channel. It's called Balloon Head Productions, where I do watch-alongs. I am possibly going to start up a Friday discussion show that will probably take place every 2 weeks or so, discussing whatever the hell I want. The first episode featured my good friend PJ, that's right here, where we talked about a bunch of stuff. And also, with PJ, I have on my channel, Balloon Air Productions, we actually did a watch-along for the entire Clerks franchise. So go and check those out if you want.
Yes, indeed. I want to thank Ruben and Jill and Steven and the other Steven Fothery, for joining us. I did not expect this much chatter. It's a very small channel, and I'm humbled to get more than 2 or 3 views, and I love the interaction from the audience. It's so fulfilling. It completes me. You complete me, Beverly. So on that note, live long and prosper, folks. Until next time, stay frosty.